Freezing fruit. My name is Marnie McCracken and I work as a farm production extension specialist for Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development out of the office in the Pas, Manitoba. The reasons why you might want to freeze fruit are that often when fruit is ready to be harvested, there's too much to use all at once. Or there may be an opportunity to buy seasonal fruit at a good price. Freezing is a good storage option in these situations as it is a way to save fruit before it becomes overripe and unappealing. Freezing does keep much of the flavor and nutritive value of fresh fruit, although keep in mind that freezing will not make poor fruits taste better and the texture may also be somewhat softer than fresh fruit. Freezing is quick and easy and allows for a great variety of seasonal fruits all year round. Towards the end of the video, there is a table with specific information on freezing various fruits. Let's start with various methods and steps for freezing fruit using apples. For freezing apples, crab apples, or apple crabs, the first step is to gently wash the fruit and remove any blemishes. Then prepare your fruit depending on the plan for its ultimate use. If you plan to use the apples to make pies, peel and slice the apples. But if you are preparing the apples for smoothies, you can leave the peel on and cut the apple in chunks. Perhaps it's applesauce you want. This will change how you prepare the fruit. Let's cover the various methods of preparation and freezing. Peel the fruit or leave it unpeeled. Again, this will depend on its ultimate use. Crab apples and apple crabs are fussy to peel, the skin is tender, and it's not necessary for these fruits. As for coring, these fruits can be frozen whole and the cores removed later when you prepare them for eating. Or if you want to remove the cores, either for this small fruit or for regular apples, you can cut sections of fruit off the core. Another method for coring is to quarter the apples and remove the cores from each section. To prevent browning, apples can be submerged for a few minutes in either a mixture of 1 tablespoon lemon juice to 1 cup of water, or dipped in a purchased ascorbic acid product mixed according to the label instructions. Anti-browning products are found with the canning supplies in the store. This step isn't totally necessary, however, as browned apples are safe to eat, they're just unappealing. The apples can be prepared and packaged into a bag or container. They can also be spread out on a tray, the tray put in the freezer, and packaged after the fruit is frozen. This method adds an extra step to the process, but it uses fewer bags or containers, and the fruit does not freeze in a block but remains loose. This method can be especially handy if using apple for something like smoothies, where you pull out a few pieces of the fruit and then reseal the bag and return it to the freezer. For applesauce, core, chop, and cook the apples, either with or without sugar. Cool the sauce, then package and freeze. For bananas, they're very easy to freeze, which means you have a way to save bananas before they become overripe and unappealing. This also means you can take advantage of sales or bulk buying. As with freezing any fruit, how you prepare bananas for freezing depends on their intended use. If they're very soft and already brown, although not moldy, perhaps baking is the best ultimate use for them. In that case, peel the bananas and either leave them whole or chop or mash them just with a fork and freeze them. Label the package including the amount. It can be convenient to match the amount in the package to the amount needed for the recipe you will be using. You can leave the peel on, but it is easier to peel them before they're frozen. If you plan to consume the bananas uncooked, such as for snacks or smoothies, peel and leave them whole, or slice the banana in pieces and freeze them. You may choose to freeze them on a tray before packaging so they don't lump together. It is handy to label the container with how many pieces equal 1 banana. Bananas will brown somewhat after a few months in the freezer, but they are still safe to eat. Blueberries, cranberries, and Saskatoons are all very easy to freeze. Basically, just clean them and toss them into a labeled freezer bag or a container, and then freeze them. You can process the berries later, or juice the berries, chop or sweeten them before freezing as well. Plums can be frozen in a number of ways depending on their ultimate use as well. They can be cleaned and tossed in a bag whole to be processed later when you have time, or they can be pitted, halved, quartered, chopped, and then frozen. They can be frozen sweetened or unsweetened or cooked, cooled, and frozen. Raspberries and strawberries can be cleaned, tossed with sugar and frozen or frozen unsweetened. Fresh berries can also be frozen on a tray and then packaged so they remain loose and don't freeze in a block. Strawberries can be chopped, sweetened, or left unsweetened and frozen that way as well. Tips for freezing fruit. Use containers and bags designed for freezing. They are thicker and the contents will maintain quality longer. Label the package before filling while the bag is flat and easy to write on. Include the date, the amount, and contents, as it can be a challenge to identify the fruit later. Press as much air as possible out of bags before sealing and lay them flat, as this makes them easier to store and they will thaw quicker. If packaging into containers, leave from 1/2 to 1.5 inches of space at the top of the container so the product can expand as it freezes. Freeze and store fruits and vegetables at -18 degrees Celsius or lower. Don't pile packages in the freezer before they're frozen, but scatter the packages until they're frozen and then rearrange them later. Also, once the weather turns cold enough, food can be stored in a secure, food-safe container outdoors. Store fruit bags or containers in a larger bag so they don't get lost in the bottom of the freezer. Most fruit maintains high quality for 8 to 12 months. Sweetened fruit maintains quality in the freezer longer than unsweetened fruit. Longer storage will not make the food unfit or unsafe for use, but it may impair quality. Here is a table of preparation instructions for various fruits. You can pause the video here if you need to know information for freezing your fruit. Check out the Manitoba government website under the Indigenous and Northern Relations webpage for specific information to Northern Manitoba. It's under the Northern Healthy Foods Initiative. Also check out the Northern Gardening playlist on Manitoba Agriculture's YouTube channel.